Welcome to Seltzer Squad, the podcast about staying sober in the city, with your hosts, Kate Sander and Jes Valentine.
Hey, Kate. So someone in our Facebook group made a joke saying that you never finish books. So I'm just curious, have you finished any books lately?
So I believe the last Audible ad was talking about Blackout, and no, I haven't finished that one. I often don't finish books, but I don't feel bad because I'm just listening. I'm currently listening to a book on emotional childhood neglect called Running on Empty, and if you guys sign up to audibletrial.com/Seltzer Squad, you can get your first month for free and listen to books haphazardly like we do.
The best part about listening to a book on Audible is it's kind of like a podcast. You can drop it at any time and pick it up anytime. So definitely use our promo code and get your first month free. Hey, Kate, what's another way that the squad can help support the podcast?
In addition to just listening or signing up to our Patreon, y'all can shop our online merch store, which has a variety of different sober treats, from mugs to sweatshirts to tanks and tees.
Everything.
All of our signature sayings are all over our sober merch. So visit seltzersquadshop.com and check it out.
Treat yourself to something sober while supporting the pod.
Hi, Jessica.
Hey, Kate. How are you?
I'm well. I want to answer some squad questions.
Let's do it. You want to start?
Just as a note, guys, Jess and I are, despite we may know about us, we are not professionals. I am studying to become one, but we are a ways away from that. So, as usual, our primary advice is to seek out treatment through our favorite way as a therapist. But you can choose what's best for you. But we love reading your questions and pontificating between the two of us.
Yeah.
So let's read some. But we do have for those of you following, we do have an update from Elle. If you remember, Elle had some drama with Goopy, and she did write us an update. So it's a very long update, but the TDLR of it is she's still sober. She recently started going to therapy. She feels a lot better. She loved our squad advice, which was, so thanks for that, Elle. And she is well on her way. This response is way too long for us to read on the air, but I'm happy that you're in a better place and that you've been able to process all that drama with Goopy. And
she doesn't talk to Goop.
No, she doesn't talk to Goop. She stopped following her socials. Pro tip, stop following all the people that make you feel bad.
Yeah. And she did give it to us, so we were able to. I stalked.
You lurked Goop.
I just did some light stalking. I just wanted to see. Goop's not my people.
But the other thing she said is, my therapist recommended exactly what you guys said, which was to start going to family events again when I feel comfortable and actually want to. She said, if I don't want to, then I don't need to go, but that I shouldn't be deterred that I should not be deterred from going to an event I might enjoy due to the possibility of her being there, and I agree. So
yeah,
I think that's very good advice, is don't do shit that you don't want to do. But if you feel like it's coming from a comfort zone fear, then maybe you need to push yourself a little bit.
Yeah.
So
do you want to read the first question, or you want me to?
You can go first if you want. Are you going from the top or the bottom?
You know what? I guess we can start. Let's start from the bottom.
Yeah.
Right? Okay. Yeah. So I'm going to start with K.
Okay.
Oh, this is a long one. Okay. Wednesday was my 2-year anniversary. I'm reaching out because I think the next roadblock in my sobriety is dealing with the resentment towards my family. Basically, I feel that they enabled my dad's alcoholism when I was a kid, continue to hide it, and they don't care about my safety. I could go on. But I think the root cause of these problems is that they are too fucked up themselves to even realize they are hurting me. I want to let go of all this anger I have, and the only tool I feel like I have in my toolkit right now is the inventory from AA. I know you guys are super busy and your following is getting bigger all the time, but I really appreciate some book recommendations or tools or whatever so I can lighten my load and get free of this bullshit. I'm having a hard time finding stuff online that isn't religious. Thank you both for being part of my journey. I wouldn't have made it through those first few weeks of baby sobriety without you. So books,
I think the next roadblock in my sobriety is dealing with my resentment towards my family.
Yeah.
That is no small task.
Exactly. It's like, I don't know. That's a hard one.
The first thing I thought of was give yourself a break, because for as long as that resentment has been building, it doesn't go away like in the snap of a finger. You know, it's going to take some time to really break that down and process it, because it took a long time to get there, right? So it's going to take a long time to uncondition those feelings and those like triggers from you. And that's definitely something that I still deal with. I'm sure you still deal with it sometimes too, Jess, right? Like I have a lot of issues that I'm still unpacking, and the way in which I like, it's all about like your perceived reality, right? So your family members might not be experiencing this in the same way that you are, but that doesn't matter. It's just kind of coming to terms within what's going on in yourself and realizing why it's there, so that you can kind of rewrite the story and learn to live in a more accepted state, is the way I view it.
Yeah. And I think that like she was mentioning about, well, so her dad's an alcoholic, alcoholic, and they enable and like don't talk about it. And that's just very, very common. I think it's like the generation. So nothing there surprises me at all. However, I honestly wouldn't know what books to recommend or anything like that. I haven't read a ton. So I feel like I'm not a very good person to like recommend anything. I would just recommend obviously therapy. And then
there have been a couple of books that I've read that have helped me kind of both draw boundaries with my family and then also process some of the things that I perceived as like, perhaps like childhood neglect. Like, let me start out by saying I did not have a bad childhood by any stretch of the imagination. I had a very normal middle class, like I call it little T traumas where, of course my mother passed away and that was extremely traumatic, but that wasn't until later. And up until, 16, I just had like regular family drama and there wasn't anything super major going on. So it took me a while to kind of come to terms with that. Is like, why do I still feel this way, even though I feel like I had like a regular childhood, right? Like, and then you can kind of isolate certain things that were perhaps maladaptive, both on my part and my parents' part, and just in the way that we were raised in society and the way my parents parented or didn't parent. So a couple books that really helped me were, there's a book called Running on Empty, and it's about childhood emotional neglect, which talks about, that makes me think like actual childhood neglect where kids were like locked in a room and not fed or anything like that. But the book is really about like tiny, more insidious ways in which parents can unintentionally emotionally neglect their kids or not meet their needs. And that book helped me a lot because I realized a lot of the ways my parents parented, I wasn't getting my needs met due to the fact that maybe I'm a middle kid and sometimes I was overlooked, or due to the fact that like my dad worked, so sometimes he wasn't always there. And just my parents both in their emotional capacities and the way that maybe they weren't even able to assess my needs and didn't even know that my needs weren't being met. So I learned maladaptive coping mechanisms to grow up and function in my environment. And now as an adult, I find myself kind of recreating these childhood scenarios in some way, shape, or form that like continue to deny me of my needs. So that book helped me a lot to just understand that that was a thing, and to kind of put some language to it so that I could understand more about why I was feeling this way and what the core
validate the little things.
Absolutely. And just also it talks about the ways in which deficits are created. So for me personally, I'm a middle kid. My dad worked. He's not particularly emotional. That created some deficits in my life. And so I learned that, you have to behave a certain way when you're around family, or if I behave a certain way around my dad, I'll get his affection. And it just kind of creates these, deficits in your development so that you would then recreate as an adult, because on some level, my needs weren't acknowledged. And for me, something that's really hard is naming my feelings. When people are like, how are you? I'm always like, fine, because I don't want to really assess my needs and or ask for them, because I was never taught how to do that in a certain way. It was just kind of like, as an example, it was like if we went out for dinner and my little sister was a picky eater, my older sister was very adamant about where we were going, my opinion wasn't heard. And so even when people ask me certain things about like, well, where do you want to go to eat? I'm always like, whatever, wherever you want to go. Like, I don't even consider what I might want in the moment. And so as an adult, I've had to kind of go back to be like, what do I really want? Like, what am I really hungry for? Just all of the like little baby steps to kind of piecing that together a little bit. So that one helped me immensely. I read that one in the last year, and I felt like my mind just like was broken open, because it was like, what are your needs as a person? What are your feelings, and how to kind of identify in which you create these environments. Like, I have a very maladaptive work relationship, because I recreate these parenting patterns in which I'm not heard or my needs aren't met, but I'm a very good worker. I'm a, excellent middle kid and sister. And so that one helped me a lot. And then the other book is the Melanie Beattie's codependency book, which talks about kind of a lot of the same things, but it's very boundaries focused about how you can create boundaries in your life and what's acceptable and what does it look like when people are pushing your boundaries. Because I wasn't even, back in the beginning of sobriety, I was just letting people walk all over me all the time. I didn't know what I want. I didn't know what I needed.
Yeah.
I didn't know how to say no. I just wanted everyone to like me. I just wanted to please everybody. So that definitely, the resentment comes when I don't put up boundaries for me. I don't know about you, Jess, but I resent things in people when I don't protect myself enough. Then I start to resent stuff. So if I felt like my family was maybe pushing me around a little bit, it's because I wasn't being firm in myself. So those two books, I would say, have
pretty good advice from Kate
have
Zander,
helped me so much.
All right. I feel like that's great.
On that. Yeah.
I couldn't have said it better.
I could talk about that for a long time, but we'll leave it there for now.
Okay.
Okay. I'm going to read
D.
Hi, ladies. I've been listening to your podcast and love it. Thank you so much. I went through a bad week of drinking every day last week and have decided to become part of the Seltzer Squad. Welcome. I've messed up with my BF time after time, and he is supportive this time rather than mad, because I was honest about drinking and sneaking. My question, I guess, is how do you get your significant other not to forget, but to trust you have to do this and not to give up on you after all the times you said you would control yourself but didn't? Thanks, guys. I love you. I feel like you can take this one.
How do you get your significant other to trust that you're really going to do it this time?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you can't. You just have to do it. That's all there is to it. Because I mean, I assume that they've said in the past they were going to do it and they didn't do it. Hence why the partner doesn't trust that they're going to do it. So I get that you feel mad because they're not taking you seriously, but I'm going to assume it's probably because of past behavior. And don't take it, I know it's easy to say don't take it personal, but try not to, because maybe they also, is their way of protecting themselves from getting their expectations too high and then it not happening. So the best revenge you can get is just to prove them wrong. I mean, this is only last weekend when she had written this. So who knows where she's at now? Hopefully she is still sober, but she's like newborn, infant, preemie stage sobriety. So I feel like that's the last thing that you need to be concerned about right now, is someone else's, like your partner's belief in you right now. Like obviously everyone wants your partner to believe in you, but I don't think it doesn't have to equate to them not being happy for you. I think that you just need to worry about not drinking right now. Don't worry about your partner's feelings of whether you may or may not drink again. It's also an easy excuse to drink again. It's like, well, you didn't think I was going to stay sober, so what's the point of me staying sober? That's a very easy way to manipulate a situation too. So try not to take it personally and try just to prove them wrong and show up for yourself. That would be my thing, opinion is just like, don't worry about what they think. Prove them wrong. Yeah. Prove them wrong. And just worry about not drinking today.
I think I agree with you wholeheartedly. I am trying to put myself in the shoes of the other person who, is
being let down.
is being let down, and how disappointing that would feel. But also, it's like, I know that you're up against addiction and that it can feel like a losing battle, and that is difficult. And I agree with your advice for her to really like keep her eyes on her own paper and not worry about the significant other, because they may or may not be with you, like in support, in life, in all of it. Like, they're sort of secondary to you dealing with you, and you have to earn that again, is the way I think about it. Is like, you broke their trust probably, and that person feels let down, and rather than dwell on that, I think refocus the energy on you and the reasons why you need to get sober, like for you. And then also, I think it's worth saying to your partner or your significant other, your support really means a lot to me. I really appreciate it. Even though I have relapsed, your support means a lot to me, and I hope I can earn your trust back. And then that's all you can really be. You can't beat yourself up about what has happened in the past, because there's no point in going back to do that. But taking accountability for yourself and saying like, I'm sorry if I hurt you, and I'm sorry that this, I know you support me, and I know that you want what's best for me too, and I let you down, and that's shitty. And then making the commitment to yourself to do better, and that's all you can really do. This person's not, I mean, I don't want to say that they're not holding it against you, but I feel like they're probably just handling you with kid gloves, because they don't really know if they can trust that you're not going to drink again. And so they're probably holding back a little bit. But at the end of the day,
themselves.
They're protecting themselves. But at the end of the day, they want what's best for you. And if they have been supportive of this decision, they will continue to be supportive of this decision. They just might be distanced, because, it's like, it can feel, resentment can really build if you're saying that you're going to do something and then you end up not doing it. And it's difficult, because this is addiction. So,
and it's for their own protection. It's their own self-preservation, and
they don't want to get hurt again.
Yeah, exactly. And I've been on both sides. I've been the person saying I'm going to do better, and I've meant it, and then I've fucked up. I've also actually got followed through and all that stuff. I've also with someone who every time we get in a fight about her drinking, she claims that she's going to take a break, and I don't hold my breath because I don't trust that. And so I'm the partner.
How have you made peace with it? Because I think you've done a really good job of making peace with it. Where
I have my own. It's been like a year of being constantly let down. So at this point, I'm like her partner. I'm not trusting. Like, say that she was to say that to me, I'm not going to trust it. I'd much rather be pleasantly surprised if they actually followed through and like took that like long break or whatever. I'd much rather be like proved wrong than being let down again.
Being promised.
So, So I'm at the point where I'm just like, whatever, we'll see what happens. You can't have expectations either way. Obviously, I support the non-drinking aspects of it. But, you can only be let down so much
before you put up boundaries, like some severe boundaries.
Yeah. So at this point, like me and my partner have our own way of like whatever cycle or just way of dealing with it. Like, I know how I deal with her and her drinking now. And I think that you guys will probably eventually get to that point, but it's so early in the game too. It's just like, don't worry about them being cautious, because that's for their own self-preservation, and they don't want to get let down. So just prove them wrong, and everyone's happy. You're sober, so you're happy. You're sober, so they're happy. That's all. That's my 2 cents.
I love that.
All right, I'm going to read M. Good luck.
Um,
Recently came across your podcast and I really like it. I've been sober for over 2 years, and one of the issues I'm having is that I can't find sober community here in Jersey City. And lo and behold, Kate mentioned she lives in Jersey City. Yes, and I used to. I'm wondering if you have any resources for sober groups here in Jersey City that aren't geared around getting sober, but more geared towards fun things while sober or connecting with other folks who are sober. I've seen some meetups in New York, but since the pandemic, I've been less interested in getting in the train. I mean, this like totally not trying to like sound like a dick. I feel like that's more of a Google thing though. Right? No. Hear me out. I just mean like, I feel like there's groups and stuff, but you don't do those. You don't like,
I don't
you're not
host
part of
any groups. I'm trying to think if I don't know of any that are not related to AA. I know there's obviously an AA meetup in Jersey City. I know a couple people who go to AA in Jersey City, but
I think that what she needs to do is find things in Jersey City, like, this is going to sound like a dumb thing, but like a special like dance class or like hip fit or like cooking class or something that's like an activity that's just doesn't revolve around drinking. This way it's like everyone's doing something, but no one's drinking because there's not alcohol included, but it's not necessarily like a quote unquote sober thing. I don't know.
Noticed
that's what I would do, but
when I started to kind of make new friends in Jersey City, so I was a member of the local like yoga place, and I just started going to yoga, and as I started going more and more to yoga, they recognized me, and then I started to know people's names, and I eventually started volunteering there so that I could get free yoga classes. And so I met tons of people, obviously, that not only were teachers, but clients there. And, you know, I got asked to go out to do things. And I would say that was a very natural thing because it was already something I was interested in. I went to places where people were doing that, but Jersey City has a lot to do in terms of things going on. Like, I know there's a little coffee shop near my house that they just posted a little sign in their window that said 6:30 a.m. Wednesdays. They have like a running club. And so like, I'm not going to get up at 6:30 in the morning to go running, but it has crossed my mind because I've been thinking about like, hey, I just want to be around other people doing something that's not like sitting at a bar. And so
like book clubs.
Yeah. Like I belong
I don't know
to
which girls drink at book clubs. I don't know.
Right. Maybe they do. My book club, some girls drink, but it's not like the focus of most girls don't drink at book clubs. I will agree though that the pandemic has like hindered things because even I don't see like people on the regular, but there are definitely things going on. Just pick a couple things that are in your hobbies. And then the thing is like that I learned is that you have to keep going because if you just like go once, you know, you'll meet a few people, but you have to go a few times, like commit to going a few times so that you can become familiar.
It's like becoming a regular at a bar. You have to keep going.
Yeah, you have to keep coming back.
Yeah, that would be my thing is like do something that's something.
Yeah. But like specifically in Jersey City, I know the Silverman Building and Co. is a co-working space in Jersey City, and they host a lot of events and classes, and like there's always like little seminars going on or workshops or retreats. And so you could definitely like meet a bunch of people that way.
I don't know if she's been doing it since the pandemic, but Kristen, who owns Cannibal Home, she always has like craft like events or like art, like things like that, like little like small groups. I think that's a great way to meet people too.
Yes.
And Kristen, who owns Cannibal, is amazing. Yes. Highly suggest that store if you haven't been there since you live in Jersey City. But like little things like that, I feel like are such a great way. I don't know if you have a dog, but then you become a regular at like a dog park
or volunteer at the animal shelter
at Liberty Humane. Yeah. Like there's tons of things. And this goes for like really any area, right? Like just find things in your neighborhood that aren't drink centric.
Yes.
And that's the best way to find people in a non-drinking way that doesn't necessarily revolve around being sober and sobriety first. It just like is an afterthought, I guess.
Yeah. Like something I'm thinking about doing is joining like either a motorcycle, like a women's motorcycle group or like a scooter group because I don't have anybody to like ride my scooter with. So I'm like, well, I got to find other people that have scooters or motorcycles. And so
that's
something that I'm thinking about. They host like you know,
Who is this girl in front of me right
oh my
now?
God, I know, right? And if there's that for everything though. There's like bicycle clubs and running clubs and walking clubs and fucking photography clubs and nature clubs. There's something for anything. So, all right.
I mean,
Good
I'm
luck to
obviously
you.
like a dog mom, but like I have 2 Frenchies, right? So if you have like a specific type of like dog or something, you can join like a fucking Frenchie meetup group. You know, like just like things like that. Like
Yeah.
just don't focus on the sober people aspect. Just do sober activities that don't involve drinking. And then I feel like that's the most organic way to meet people that aren't necessarily like drunkards.
Yes.
Because drunk people that are like wasted all the time aren't doing things like that. They're mostly like at a fucking bar or nursing a fucking hangover. So chances are like, yeah, you may meet people that drink and that's totally fine.
They might be the normies though.
They might be a normie, like, which is fine. Yeah. So good luck, M.
Hey, Kate, what is the number one sober tool that we always recommend?
Therapy.
And we have recently partnered with BetterHelp. Do you want to tell everyone what that's about?
So BetterHelp is an online mental health platform. Basically what it is, it's an app that you get access to therapists. So you take their short quiz, they match you with somebody in your area, and it's affordable private counseling for individuals and couples anytime, anywhere. You don't even have to leave your house. You don't even have to wear hard pants.
That is amazing.
And what are we giving our listeners?
10% off. Just go to betterhelp.com/seltzer squad.
All right. Here we go. I'm looking at L, making sure that there's a question. Okay. L writes, I just celebrated my 4-year soberversary. Congratulations. Have been going strong since day one until recently. I grew up in a household where my father drank after work until he passed out on the couch around 8 p.m. I grew up never wanting to be like him, but found myself during my entire 30s and 40s drinking daily and passing out on the couch. Now that I'm in my late 40s sober and discovering a whole new me, I'm also discovering how very fragile sobriety really is. Here's what triggered me. My brother, who is 5 years older than me, has also been sober for 4 years. Congrats to you both. He recently started to casually drink, which if he is anything like me and also our shared history, I know he can't moderate or drink like a normal person. Since I've learned this about him, I've questioned my own sobriety. I know this sounds like a codependent behavior, but I'm shaken with how his drinking has impacted me. I know that I am strong and have not given in because so much is at stake, but I'm bewildered by my feelings. I'm not looking for answers from you, but I think it would be interesting to discuss fragility in sobriety, even when you think you are strongest, and how we need to protect our sobriety and commitment to ourselves. Any chance you could discuss?
I think this is so great. It is and it's not though, because I feel like this happens.
I feel like you're living this.
Well, yeah, that's what I feel like. I feel like me and Elle are very like this, because it's really, really, really great when you feel like you found a partner, a partner, just like a life partner or whatever, not sexual partner or whatever.
Yeah.
Support that, like you have a buddy that you guys are going through this together. For them, it goes even deeper because they have that shared experience of like dealing with their father and stuff. So the connection is that much stronger. But
you have that one person at all family events that like gets it.
Yeah. So it must have been so awesome when they were both like sober together, because you always had like that person that gets you and you get them. And I just imagine they have a very deep connection. However, and this happens a lot. I feel like this happens with like couples and stuff. And then the other person starts drinking again. And it's only natural, I feel, to question your own sobriety and ability to drink again. Because think about it, even people that don't do it with someone, everyone, I don't know, maybe I'm just talking for myself, but I feel like it's only natural to be like, I wonder if I'm like cured. I wonder if I could drink again. I wonder if I had a drink, if I would be okay. So I feel like we already always think about that. That's always in the back of our head. But then when you see your sober partner drinking again, obviously, especially if they're doing it well,
Mm-hmm.
it's only natural to think like, oh, well, I'm sure I could do it too. Like, that's just, I don't think that there's anything. I just feel like this is so common.
Yes. I would, of
Is the
course,
brother,
like be like, am I cured?
right? Is the brother is he like doing well? Like,
I don't
or
know.
is
And
he
then
like
are
fucking
you
up?
sort of like, this is probably like not PC to say, but like, are you sort of waiting for them to fail also? Like,
Right.
because you, like, there's that sober
Come back.
piousness,
Yeah.
right? Where you're like, mm-hmm, sure. See you later,
Yeah.
you know, or whatever.
Yeah.
But that would be like my
Yeah.
immediate is like, like when people are like, oh, you can moderate. I get like these ads on TikTok for like controlling your drinking, and I'm like, like
I
don't
get
know.
those
I don't want to
ads.
write someone off if they're finding their way and it's working for them, but working for them and working for me may be two very different things. And I think about if I were to casually drink sometimes now, under what circumstances would I feel like I need to do that? And it would likely be peer pressure related, like other people are. So I feel like, oh, I can casually drink again. And to me, that's not a good enough reason. Like living without alcohol for this many years made me realize that I'm not missing anything by beginning to casually drink again. Like it literally does not add any value to my life in any way, shape, or form. Like I can't unsee, like it was only just, even if I can normally drink, like I don't want to at this point. Do you wish that you could normally drink? I don't any longer think about that. I used to want to just be a normal drinker, but now I'm like, literally there's no point.
Yeah, I go back and forth. I go back and forth with wondering if I could and wanting to test that, but then being mad at myself for why do you even care?
Right.
Like, even if you can drink, like, why do you want to? And for me, it's just like, I really do miss, like we mentioned, a while back, I just miss the whole like routine of it, kind of going out, having a nice drink. Honestly, sometimes I just miss, like, I love having a nice cocktail, like the way it tastes, like, hence why I can make mocktails and stuff. It's not always just to get fucking buzzed, it can just be to enjoy a drink. But yeah, I like struggle with that because it's like, I catch myself and I feel guilty. And it's like, I shouldn't really feel guilty. I feel like it's a normal thing to wonder, right? Like, don't you wonder, like, even if, like you said, even if you don't want to drink and you're not going to drink because you're not going to, but aren't you curious to know that if you were to, if you would be the same fucking drunk Kate, or if you would actually have a handle on it? Who knows?
Right.
And I feel like that.
I just feel like my experience in my like 1 year of sobriety and then relapse showed me is that yes, there are going to be times where I have only 2 glasses of wine, and there are going to be times where but then the times where something scary happens enters the scene again, and
it's bad.
I don't want to live with that anxiety anymore. I think it's like, for me, it's I don't know, it's that mental math of like, when is it going to happen? When is something fucking scary going to happen? When's Kate going to fucking lose her mind? I don't want to live with that. So for me, it's a no, but I guess same. If I think about it at all anymore, I just think about what if I had never had a problem and never even struggled with. I do think about that, like in the way that TJ can drink, where he can take it or leave it, leave the alcohol in the glass. Like it's not at all in his routine anymore. It's like he maybe has a couple of drinks a week at this point. That I think about, what if I was just like that, where it was just never something that I ever had to think about. I think I would choose that ending, of course, but I don't for a second, like, sobriety is still the foundation that all of the good of my current life is built on. That
exactly,
being a casual drinker is not tempting enough for me. Yeah.
There's this tattoo artist that I want to get tattooed by. I love her work so much. And she just does gorgeous work. And a lot of her stories, she's out after work and stuff. And I'm just like, in my head, I'm like, how are you doing this? How are you out all the time and then still have time to draw and still do such amazing work? And I don't know if she's like out till, who knows if she's out for 1 drink or 5. Like, I have no idea. It's just like reminded me of like oh, that's right. I used to like go to work, go out, like go to work, go out. And now it's just like, oh my God, I don't even want to do a dinner if it's like late.
Mhm.
When I had dinner with our friend Brenny,
Mhm.
and you know what time we had? Like the restaurant opened at 4. We went at 4. I was like, Roman Nose opens at 4. I
Mhm.
was like on my way to her house at like 3:30 because I was getting my nails done. And like we had to wait till 4. Like old lady. I was
Mhm.
like, I want to be in bed by like 9. Like
Yeah.
I don't want to be dilly-dallying.
I feel like part of this girl's question, though, is also kind of the previous question where you all of a sudden feel like you can't trust that person anymore. Like they're not necessarily safe. Like now they're casually drinking. What's going to happen? I don't know. I've kind of like lost my support there that, again, you can
That's
only
true.
worry about your own sobriety. But I guess the only takeaway I would say is, what do you feel like he's at? What is your perspective of what he's adding? And is that worth it? Because to me, it's not worth it.
Yeah. So many layers.
Mm-hmm.
So many layers.
Well, guys, you can send us your questions at seltzersquadpod@gmail.com. Please put question in your subject and we will read it on the air and try to answer it. Or try to talk through it, I guess.
Yeah. Give our opinions.
Yes. Our thoughts and opinions and experiences.
Yeah. Well, thanks for your questions. Until we meet again.
Be nice to yourself.
And don't forget,
hangovers suck.
Thanks for listening. Don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe to this podcast. Every review helps other listeners find us. Music by Dead Go West. Art by Kate Sander. For show notes and resources, check out seltzersquad.com.